I'm going to do it on quizzes. I'm going to give you a graph, and I'm going to ask you to write a linear inequality given its graph. Okay, check it out. So here's a graph, okay, of an inequality. Now, we do know how to graph or how to write an equation of a line. The easiest way to graph or to write an equation of a line is to identify your m value and identify your b value, okay? Because if you know your m and your b, you could plug it into y equals mx plus b. So our slope, and you're going to be able to see two dots, and even if you don't see two dots, you could find your own two nice coordinates. Let's use this red one and that one. How much do you rise? You rise 4, and you run 1. So you're gonna, remember, it's rise over run. The rise could be positive if you're going from left to right going up, or it could be negative if from left to right you're going down, but you're always going from left to right on the run, okay? So left to right on the run. So from left to right, it does go 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes up 4. So that is a positive 4. You don't even need to put the positive up there. And you are running 1. So you're running 1. So the slope is technically just 4. I mean, yeah, you could put it 4 over 1, but it looks nicer as just 4. Now, the b value is where it crosses your y-axis. And it doesn't cross at 3 or at 1 or at negative 1. It crosses at negative 2. So the b value is negative 2. So we have the slope. We have the y-intercept. Plug in the slope right there. That'll say y equals 4x plus b. But instead of plus b, I'm going to put minus 2 because the b value is negative 2. You know what? That negative looked ugly. Let me change that. Negative 2. Okay, so instead of the plus, we're just going to put minus 2. So there's your answer. Y equals 4x minus 2 if it were a line, but it's not a line. It's an inequality. So we need to go back and erase the equal sign and replace it with what? Well, first of all, is this line solid or dotted? Solid, which means I do need a solid line underneath the inequality. And then, am I shading above the blue solid line or below the blue solid line? Above, which would be greater than. So this inequality will be a greater than or equal to. So I have created my inequality by looking at my graph and identifying the m and the b. Does that make sense? Okay. So on your homework, you actually had this inequality and you graphed it. And maybe on quizzes, we're going to look at the graph and then write the inequality. Let's practice a little bit more. Okay, even though you don't have this on paper, go ahead and think it through. I mean, if you have a piece of paper, you could at least write down the m and the b. So what's the m value? Does anybody know the m value here? So pick a point. How much do you rise and how much do you run from one point to another? Up 1 over 2. So the slope is up 1 over 2. Yay? All right. What about the b value? What's the b value? It crosses the y-axis where? At 3. Okay. Now, in addition to that, how about this? Before we even write it in y equals mx plus b, is this greater than or is it less than? Greater than or less than? Is it above the line or below the line? It's above. So am I going to have a greater than symbol or a less than symbol? Greater than symbol. Is this a solid line or a dotted line? It's dotted. So it's not going to be a solid line down here. So it's going to just be a greater than symbol. So now we could write our inequality that's represented on the graph. Y is greater than 1/2 x plus 3. And there's your inequality. Make sense? So once again, pretty much you're going to be doing this thought process. When I give you a graph, find your m, how much do you rise, how much do you run? Find your b, where it crosses the y-axis. And then, is it shading above that line or below that line? If it's above, it's a greater than symbol. If it's below, it's a less than symbol. And then finally, is it solid? If it is solid, put a solid line underneath your inequality. It's dotted, so don't put a solid line underneath the inequality. It becomes really easy if you practice it a little. Let's try another. So on this one, again, we need to find the m value and the b value. The m value from left to right is up 1 over 2. So the m value is rise 1, run 2. That's your m. The b value crosses at -4. -1, 2, 3, 4. And then you ask yourself about the inequality. The inequality is less than because you're shading below the line. And it's not a solid line, so I'm not going to put a solid line underneath it. And that will be y is less than mx plus b, which would be a 1/2 with an x right next to it. And then plus b is going to be a -4. And that's your answer. All right, so could somebody give me an m value, the slope? Or could somebody give me the b value? It doesn't really matter. We're going to do both. The slope is from one point to another. It's going down. You're not going up. You're going down 1 over 2. So that's right, -1 over 2. That's your m. How about your b? Where does it cross the y-axis? At 3, right? 1, 2, 3. Crosses at 3. So b is 3. Okay. Now, what kind of inequality do I have? Do I have a greater than, which would be above, or do I have a less than, which is below? Clearly less than, which is below. So you're going to write down the inequality, the less than, and then do I have a solid line or do I have a dotted line? Is it solid? It's solid. What does that mean? I need a solid line underneath this inequality. So I want to put a solid line underneath the inequality. And now I could write y equals mx plus b, or y is less than or equal to mx plus b. So you can put the y on this side. The m is -1/2 with the x right next to that slope, and then plus the b value, which happens to be 3. And that's your answer. Y is less than or equal to -1/2 x plus 3. Yay? Okay. So I hope this helps, and hopefully we get a good grade on Friday's test. Bless you.